Hello guys, welcome back to my channel Math Technique. So for today's video, we will talk about the properties of exponents, specifically on product rule, wherein ang product rule is applicable only if your given has the same base, and if same po yung base nila like this one, then your exponent or you are to add the exponents. So it will become a raised to m plus n. So this was the example I gave you on our previous video. Now I prepared several examples for you para mas maintindihan what is product rule. So let's go to our first example. Say we have 2 raised to 2 times 2 raised to 3. We have here base 2, which is parehas. Then we are to add their exponents. So just write 2, then 2 plus 3, adding the exponents, and it will give us 2 raised to 5. And if you will put or input this one to your calculator, it will give you 32. Okay, next example, we have x squared times x to the 5th. Okay, you have same base x, and it will become x raised to 2 plus 5, and therefore your final answer is x raised to 7. Now let's move forward to our next example. So take note, product rule only applies if same base po. So let's have another example, y raised to 3 times y raised to 6. So same base, you have y. So it will give us y 3 plus 6, and therefore it becomes, or your answer is y raised to 9. How about x squared times y raised to 6? So as you can see, x, the first term is x, the second term is y. Therefore, hindi magkaparehas yung base, and therefore this is product rule is not applicable. Okay, so as is po ang answer. So wala na pong dapat gawin dyan. Okay, next example. We have 2x squared times negative 3x raised to 3. So as you can see, meron ng number katabi ni variable x. On our first term, we have 2. On the second term, we have negative 3. Take note, the name of the number na katabi ng variable ay what we called coefficient. So if there is coefficient, so numbers na katabi ni variable x or any other variable, what you have to do is just to multiply the numbers. So it will become, or you can write it like this, 2 times negative 3. So this is the coefficient of our first term, and this is the coefficient of our second term. And write the base, and then apply the product rule. So the first term, exponent niya ay 2. And the second term, exponent niya ay 3. And therefore, our final answer, multiply negative 3 times 2, that's negative 6. Then x, add the exponent, raised to 5. So that's our answer. Another example is y raised to 3 and 2 times y. So you have here 2 as the coefficient of y. Ang first term, our first term ay meron siyang 1 lang coefficient. So pag walang nilagay na number dyan, understood, merong 1. Therefore, you can just write it. And ito, si y, if walang nakalagay dyan na exponent, it's also understood na 1 po ang kanyang exponent. So, what you have to do is just to copy 2 because that's 2 times 1 and it will give us still 2. Then copy the base and then 3 plus 1 because this 1 is understandable na meron siyang 1 dyan. Though hindi yan binigay sa given. So, that will give us 2y raised to the 4th power. Okay. And sometimes, the problem will, sometimes ganito siya pagkasulat, no? 3y raised to 2 times 4y raised to 3. So this one here, or sometimes it's only a dot or x, so it also implies multiplication. So still we have to multiply our coefficients, and therefore that's 3 times 4, or let's write 3 times 4. And we have the base y. So of course, if different ang base, so product rule hindi ma-apply dyan. So we have the same base, and therefore product rule applies. Tapos 2 plus 3. Okay, and therefore it will give us 3 times 4, that's 12 y raised to 5. Now, how about if I have two variables like this, x raised to 3, y squared, times x y raised to the 4th power. So, sometimes po, makikita nyo, parenthesis yung nakalagay, it also implies multiplication, or you have to get the product of the terms. So, as you can see, here we have x and y, here we have also x and y. Same thing, ang kailangan gawin is just to apply the product rule on the same base. So, on the first term, we have, on this side, we have x and y. This side, we have x and y. So, ang gagawin is we have to identify our x, or we have to write x and y separately, of course. So, we have to identify kung ilan yung exponent ni x dito. So, same thing, 3. Tapos dito, makikita natin, 1 lang din siya. So, plus 1. Okay. Tapos, you write the second variable, which is in this case, y. Then, 2. That's the first exponent. Then, we have here on this side, 4. So, plus 4. Therefore, it will give you x, the 4th power, times y to the 6th power. Okay, so this is now your final answer. Okay, that's already the lowest term because you cannot combine x and y. Okay, we have here another example. What if I have my term here, 5x, and I will multiply it y to y plus 3 plus 2x. So, you have here your first term, 5x. Imo-multiply mo siya to these terms. You have here 3 terms. So, it's very simple. What you have to do is just to distribute 5x to each term inside your parenthesis. So, ganito ang gagawin. Okay, so, you multiply it here, the 5x, you multiply 5x also dito, and here. Also, multiply it here. So, one by one, let's multiply, and it will give us an answer, 5x times y. So, you have 5x times y. It will just give us 5x y. So, when you write your variable, alphabetical din po. So, kung merong a, then you have to write a. Okay, a first. So, xy, 5xy, because we cannot apply product rule si ni x at ni y because different po yung base. So, let's multiply 5x to 3. So, this one is addition. So, plus lang kasi positive naman dito. Then 5x times 3, it will give us 5 times 3. So, that's 15. Then, just write x. The third term is 5x times 2x. So, you have 5 times 2. Therefore, it will give us 10. So, you write 10. Then, you have x here. That's raised to 1. Then, x raised to 1. You will apply, of course, the product rule. So, therefore, it will give us x raised to 2. Okay. So, this is now your final answer. You just have to distribute 5x here, multiply it here 1 by 1. And because it is positive, this one also is positive, your sign is also positive. So your final answer is 5xy plus 15x plus 10x squared. Let's have another example. What if we have x cubed raised to x minus 2? Now, therefore, these still have the same base. You can just actually write it directly like x raised to 3 plus negative 2. Wherein in this case, of course, x minus 2, then it will give you x raised to 1, or you can just write it as x. Okay? Now let's have our last example. So we have here 5x to the 6. This is our last example for product rule. Then next videos, we will have quotient rule and so on and so forth. So times 2x to the 4th plus 2y raised to 3 times x squared plus 3x squared. Okay. So, still, you can use product rule. You have here an addition operation. So, let's first do product rule dito na side. So, you have 5 and 2. And as you can see, same base naman. Then, we can use product rule. So, 5 times 2. Let's write it first, 5 times 2. Tapos, write the base. And then, add the exponents. Okay, so ito muna ha. Then, we have now 10. X raised to 10. Sa side na to. So, this is the answer for this. How about this one? So, let's put plus. So, just like what we did earlier, we have two terms here. We have another term here. Tapos, itong two terms na to, naka-enclose siya sa parenthesis. So, what we have to do is to distribute this term dito sa loob. Okay. But, as you can see, they have the same variable and same exponents. Kasi sa mathematics, if you have the same variable, tapos same exponents, tapos the operation na between them is addition, for example, ito, then you can add the two terms. Parang lang yung flower, 1 flower plus 3 flowers. So, flower kasi sila lahat. Then, of course, you can add them. Kasi x squared to Then, the other variable dito is x squared din. 3x squared lang nandito. Ito, 1x squared. So, parang 1 flower plus 3 flower. And therefore, it will give us 4 flower. So, kung ganito, makikita nyo, same lang naman ang variable. This is x. This is also x squared. Same lang din yung exponent. Therefore, I can rewrite it this way. Okay, before ko siya i-distribute. So, it become 4x squared. So, apat na siya na x squared. Okay? And now, it's a time for you to apply the product rule. So, we have here, if you, parehas nito, meron siyang mga, tawag nito, coefficient. Okay? Itong 4 at saka si 2, pwede mo yang i-multiply. So, magiging 2 times 4 yan. Pero, itong mga variable na katabi nilang dalawa, of course, hindi magkaparehas yung base na first base here is y, the second is x. So, kailangan mo lang i-copy. So, si x ang unahin natin para alphabetical, x raised to 2, tapos si y raised to 3. Now, let's rewrite first this equation para mas maklaro. Ayan, 10x raised to 10 plus 2 times 4 times x squared y cubed. So, ito, multiply muna natin. It will give us 10x raised to 10 plus 8x squared y raised to 3. You already have an answer. However, this is not yet the final answer. In mathematics, we have to factor out those yung parehas sa mga terms. So, first term, meron kang x raised to 10. Dito rin, meron kang x raised to 2. Wherein, meron kang x na base dito, meron ka ding x na base dito. Tapos, meron kang coefficient dito na 8. Dito rin, meron kang coefficient na 10. So, you have to factor out what is similar sa dalawang term na to. So, in this case, what is similar is, as you can see, ang coefficient sa first term, it is divisible by 2. So, and also, dito sa second term natin, ay, divisible by 2 rin ang coefficient natin. So, we can put 2, kasi ito yung similar sa mga coefficient sa first term and second term mo. Tapos, tingnan mo rin yung variable. So, dito meron kang x raised to 10. Dito meron kang x raised to 2. So, I can also extract or factor x. However, sa pag-factor po nito, pwede pa po kasi ninyong ma-factor din with exponent. Ang kailangan nyo lang gawin is tingnan kung saan dito yung may pinakamaliit na exponent. So, in this case, si 2x raised to 2 yung pinakamaliit na exponent. So, ang gagawin mo, copy mo lang yung pinakamaliit na exponent dyan. So, ang gagawin mo is i-divide mo to dito isa-isa. So, bale, let's have another color. So, 10. Our first term is ito, si 10x raised to 10. You divide it with yung na-factor mo, si 2x squared. So, it will give you 10 divided by 2, that's 5. Tapos, sa quotient rule, pag same base, you have to subtract the exponent. So, 10 minus 2, it will give you 8. Okay. Tapos, ito naman, si 8 x squared y3, divide mo yan ng 2x squared. So, of course, 8 divided by 2, it will give you 4. Tapos, ito, si y cube, wala namang y cube dito. So, ang kailangan mong gawin, i-copy mo lang siya. Tapos, dito, merong x squared. Sa taas, then x squared. So, kung i-minus mo siya, magiging 0. Diba? X squared. So, quotient itong dalawa, 2 minus 2, kasi 2 din dito. So, magiging x raised to 0. And anything that is raised to 0 is 1. Okay? Anything, remember, anything that is raised to 0 is 1. And therefore, you can write it as 4y cubed. So, dito, ang gagawin mo, to your final answer is, you will just have to draw a parenthesis. Ito yung na-factor out mo. Tapos, copy mo lang itong dalawa. So, let's copy 5x raised to 8, which is this one. Tapos, of course, that's plus. Then, copy plus. And copy this one. 4x raised to 0 times y raised to 3. And as I've said earlier, anything that is raised to 0 is 1. And therefore, our final answer now is 2x squared times 5x raised to 8 plus 4y cubed. So, ito na po yung final answer natin. Okay, so I hope po ay nakatulong itong video sa inyo. And if it helps you po, kindly like the video and don't forget to subscribe for upcoming videos. So, thank you so much po for watching and God bless po sa inyong lahat.